what's one knife or multi-tool you wish they would make again?
I want the Benchmade Anthem to come back. I'm gonna get flamed for that for sure.
That is such a, like, be careful of who you call ugly in high school. When it came
Yeah.
out, everyone was kind of hating on it, and now that it's gone, everyone's like,
I know.
oh, that was actually
Gosh.
sick. This one is from JM Dillinger. They say general utility, also being able to practice photography. Well, it pays off because that's a great photo. How about shoes? Any recommended shoes? This is just so random.
Man.
I love this question. I love the bravery to ask this question on this podcast. Like, it kind of makes sense. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Carry the Way, the weekly podcast where we nerd out about all things EDC gear and maybe try to teach you a thing or two while we're at it. I'm Bernard, the founder of everydaycarry.com, and I'm joined by our editor, Mikey.
Hey.
So if you're new to the show, welcome. Here we talk about the latest in EDC gear, answer questions from the community, and review pocket dump submissions from our viewers. And if you've listened before, thanks so much for the support. Just a reminder to give a thumbs up to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, as it really helps grow the channel. And hopefully we're almost at that 1,000 subscriber milestone. So once we do that, I'll start giving away gear. But first, we start with a pocket check. Mikey, why don't you take us away there?
Sure. We've been accused of featuring a lot of expensive stuff, and you always call out to me when I put used stuff where it's all $400 knives and really out of touch stuff. So
yeah, see, I'm for the people.
I challenged myself. I
good.
put together a really cool kit. I even have the math. I have the prices for these things. So these are a bunch of stuff that came across my desk and stuff I bought for myself. And I've put together a really awesome EDC, I think, for under $240. So it's the whole thing.
Okay.
I got my slice light right. Anyway, I'll show you. So first we'll start with a knife. This is the CIVIVI Yonder. We've talked about this on the news. This is the award-winning Zack in the Wild design that came out this year. This is the most comfortable axis lock I've ever used in my life.
Really?
I don't know if you can see that, but the texture, let me see if I can get to focus. Come on, focus. But anyway, there we go. The axis lock button, the what do you call this? The switch itself is very, very smooth, and it's domed in such a way that it's super easy to grab. And it's just, and the tuning they did for the Omega Spring is really, really good. So I don't know what they did with this, but this is so comfortable, and it merges right into the smooth G10 scales. And I'm coming around to this 2.88 inch length. So if I'm going sub 3, I want kind of like 2.8 to close to 2.9. Really nice modified Warncliffe shape. And my favorite part about this is, even if it's a small knife, this angled part here just is kind of like, it reminds me of the Spyderco Dragonfly, where your pinky can just rest on it and you still get a full-handed grip on it. So this is I was kind of doubting why it was such a night, why people were kind of raving about it. But now that I have it in hand, this is amazing. It's actually amazing. And to think that this is CIVIVI's first crossbar lock type knife.
So you're mainly impressed by the ergonomics.
And I kind of like the design as well. And
can you show it to the camera without your hand in the way? Sorry, big old pause. Yeah, I just want to see what it looks like. Okay.
So nice full grip. I'm careful trying to not drop it. My only complaint is I wish that this finger choil was fully complete, so that I can put my whole finger in that notch.
Right.
But yeah, it's a little stunted here towards the back. But other than that, the ergos are great. It's super light because of the G10. I love the blade shape. And yeah, again, the most comfortable crossbar lock I've ever used. $57 right now.
What's the steal on that?
1428 yen. So one of the better budgets.
With like the budget. Yeah.
So $57 for that. I'm gonna go FireflyLite next. This is the latest, the simple Nitecore flashlights. This is their AA version now. This is the MT1A Pro. This one is $42. Super nice anodized, nice handle. It comes with a 14500 light, which is the lithium ion AA size, but it also takes AA. The only complaint, it's a low, medium, high. My only complaint is it doesn't have momentary on, and it has mode memory. And why that throws me off is sometimes I just want it to start on low all the time, and I don't know if I left it on high the last time, so it could jump
Oh,
scare
so it
you.
remembers the last
Yeah,
used
it
mode?
remembers the last
Oh,
used mode.
okay. Yeah,
So
that's
it
kind of
doesn't
frustrating.
always, yeah, it doesn't always start in low. It doesn't always start in high. So you could
Yeah.
jump scare yourself with it. And
I
again,
don't
there's no,
I
it's
don't
a
mind the no
mechanical,
momentary though. Especially for an
I,
EDC light. Cause
sure,
like,
sure, sure.
yeah.
At
And
least it's a mechanical switch. It's not an e-switch or
sure.
anything. So
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah,
nice
yeah.
to press. Yeah. Yeah. So
And at
42
least
bucks on
because
this.
it's a reverse clicky, like even if you do have high memorize, well, I don't know if that helps, but it's more time before you flashbang yourself,
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is $42. It's the latest in the line of the, I wouldn't even call them the budget line of Nitecore, just the more simpler baseline, really effective, simple, and affordable lights. I really like that one.
Yeah.
And taking it back to old, like going back to the beginning, I've been using the Rotring 600 ballpoint as my daily
Uh-huh.
driver. So this one is only $21 right now. I think it's on sale
No
also.
way.
Yeah, it's only $21 for an all-time classic. Nice weight. I've talked about this a lot. Really nice to
Yeah.
write with. It's a classic for a reason. And this is both my desk pen and it's my around the house pen. I'm
Mhm.
using the Ridge pen as my EDC just for testing, but it's my favorite. It's a click pen as well. Nice drafting point. I mean, what
Yeah,
else can you
that
say?
so
It's
the
all-time
drafting
classic.
point, like while it does offer more precision, right? That's the main reason I never EDC'd it in pocket.
Oh, really?
Just because it's like
Because it,
it's too
yeah, because just
pointy.
poke a hole.
If you bend it somehow, like
Yeah.
it's gonna it's like
So
not ideal for that shape. Yeah.
the secret is
Oh
this.
yeah.
I
You have a
carry it in
carrying
one
case
of,
for
yeah,
it. A hard
exactly.
case. Yeah. Damn.
Hard case, yeah.
It's built of
Hardcore.
solid brass. This fool puts it in a plastic box. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the accessories, the last bit. This is a classic 6900 G-Shock, but this is the
Hmm.
blackout version from I believe 2018 or 2019. I bought this so long ago, and if you want just like a daily beater watch, I bought it at $70, but a regular 6900 is only $55 right now. So if you want kind of
Hmm.
like a buy it for life digital watch, and yeah, $55 for a normal 6900 all-time classic as well. And the last bit, I discovered this recently because I was looking for some really simple jewelry, and I was just browsing through Craighill's site. This is a simple, they call it the Radial cuff.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
just a
cuff.
stainless steel, and I really like that. It's a straight design, but it's a chamfered edge, so it's really comfortable. And I
Okay.
have one in PVD black and normal stainless silver. And
Nice.
these are only $58 each for stainless
Yeah.
steel. Really nice design. Exactly what I was looking for. A non-closed, really simple cuff bracelet. And yeah, I
Hmm.
just got a couple of
Nice.
those.
Craighill. Yeah.
Yeah. So grand total, $233 for an entire kit, fashion and everything, slice, right, light, and yeah, the
Hmm.
whole set. 230. Cheaper than some of the stuff that we cheaper
Yeah.
than one knife that we
The
feature
single
sometimes.
knife that you're gonna
Yeah.
put in the news later in this episode,
actually,
probably. Yeah.
actually, yeah,
So this got me thinking.
yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing. This got me thinking. What are the price points in 2024 going into 2025 that we would consider reasonable budget, right? Because
Good point. Yeah,
I think I've seen things now where it's like the Walmart Ozark Trail sort of bug out kind of
yeah. the
alternative, right?
the viral
People,
one. Yeah.
yeah, people are flocking to that, right? They're just picking them up for just dollars a piece.
hmm
And I wonder, does that even still function as an EDC that you would actually use, or are you just buying it because it's cheap and then that's the thrill of it? Because that just becomes like consumerism. It reminds me also of like the Timex $1 watch, or like the Moon Swatch, right? Where
Yeah.
there's this discussion around, is it actually offering the value from those brands, or is it really just it's cheap and then you get to buy it and that's the fun of it?
And
I
you
wonder
just
if
get the
there's
dopamine rush.
right. I wonder if there's any thoughts around that in the community, just
Yeah.
as we approach budget gear, because I think the lower the budget threshold becomes to be considered budget, the more dubious it is that it will actually function in EDC, right? That's just kind of like the price you pay for performance. So what are reasonable expectations and price ranges? I think $250 for a full EDC with accessories, I think that is reasonable in 2025. But then I could also see people expecting like a full complete EDC for under $100. That's like how? Like, what is the price that we paid for that to be possible?
So are you asking if there is a kind of floor for quality versus value?
Yeah, maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
it's just in people's minds. Like, at what point do you think, oh, it's that cheap? It's probably not good, right? And that'll probably vary from
Right, right.
product category, and there are
Yeah.
probably definitely outliers there. As we've shown time and time again on the show, it's like, oh, $7 like Zebra F701 or something is like, oh, that's a solid pen. You don't need to splurge for the $21 Rotring
The
600, you know.
the discussion
So
about this diminishing returns and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
just
think
uh-huh.
I'm of the opinion that sometimes you just want a good steal. Like when you find something cool at the vintage shop or you thrift something
Oh, a
really
steel.
nice
I
or
thought you were saying blade steel. Yes,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
a deal get. Yeah.
Yeah, deal get or we were just talking offline, finding a really nice vintage something
Mm-hmm.
that's plenty of value and still, within reasonable limits. I think there's a that dichotomy of owning something premium and expensive and spending and saving up for it and getting it, and also the crocodile, the primal monkey brain of just nice steal. I mean, I'm getting a good deal here, good
Yeah,
deal,
gotta get
dopamine
it.
up, and yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's just playing into, yeah, it's probably consumerism actually. It's just playing into your "Oh, I'm getting a good deal" type of mentality, and then impulse
Yeah.
buying. There you go. That's what
So
I'm trying to think
yeah,
of. The
the
impulse buying.
impulse buy is just like, I was just reminded of when I saw on the Budget Blade subreddit that like everyone's like, oh yeah, I finally got my Walmart order in. It's just like, you probably already had a bunch of knives that already served that purpose. So I feel like,
True, true.
yeah, not to shame anyone who did pick one of those up, because like they're probably good. I haven't tested them. I haven't tried to beat the hype and get one. Just like, you guys
Prob-
can
Probably
have that.
something along like fast fashion as well. There's that I want
Right.
something. You just want to spend. I get into my own head about. I have a little bit of extra money. I kind of want to spend on something. I don't even know what it is yet, but I just want to, you know, add stuff to cart and just
Yeah. I don't want this
vegetate at
podcast.
checkout.
Yeah, let's not like make this podcast delve into those dark depths that
I know.
we're so prone to doing these days. So we might as well switch it over to me, to my pocket check, which
Do
is
it.
not any cheerier or brighter, to be honest. So
Yeah.
one, I did get the restock of the new Dispatch R&D Sling
Talking
bag, or I
about
got
that
the
a lot.
Messenger, right?
Yeah.
So thanks to Mikey for hooking or talking to Rich at Dispatch for me to get a sample. I've been I had like the very original Dispatch Sling that was Cordura nylon a long time ago. Um, and now this is cool to see like the fully developed experimental expression of it with more futuristic materials, instead
Yeah,
of
he's
just
using
YKK hard.
all
Yeah,
of the best
instead of
stuff across the board. Yeah.
exactly, instead of just YKK hardware and Cordura nylon, which was still like, oh damn, this is a good bag at the time. Now it's like Bidlock and then Dyneema, so it's pretty cool. So I'm wearing it right now.
Nice.
Yeah,
I will say that people's concerns that it looked too big in the photos, I think it's not true. I think it's exactly right for the size that they're saying it is.
yeah, dude. I'm 5'6", 135 pounds. I'm not jacked or huge or tall or anything, so
And it
it's
looks
not
fine.
that big. Not
Yeah.
that big.
The fact that it can also hold like a full size tablet or a small laptop, I think it can hold like a 13-inch laptop. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't use it for that. I use it just as pocket overflow. And then I mentioned this in the previous podcast, where just because you have pocket or bag space, it doesn't mean you need to fill it to the brim, right?
I know.
So
Yeah.
I'm using this just as we're heading into fall, winter, right? It's getting colder, but in Los Angeles, it doesn't get that cold. And especially during the day when the sun is out, it's still like 70 degrees. So I might not have this jacket on, just keep it in the bag along with my water to stay hydrated during the day. Then when nighttime rolls around, gets chillier, just got my stuff, throw it in there. Put the shell on, whatever. So I have that extra layer and that access. So I'm mainly using it as that, just the potential carrying capacity, not necessarily needing to load out, right? I
Right,
think
right.
that's a fun use of bags. And then that's the only new thing. I have been rotating through a lot of watches because the brainworms are saying,
I know.
that I need something new for some reason. And I think it might be just because it's peak shopping season. We're working on these gift guides. We're looking at all these new things that are coming out and sharing it
I
with the
know.
community.
God, yeah.
So it is pretty tempting. But similar to how you a couple episodes ago were kind of spiraling about this next watch purchase, that's kind of what I was thinking. But the difference for me is I already have a robust watch collection, maybe even too much, like too many watches. And watches are something that I'm an enthusiast about and I'm pretty passionate about. So I've spent and invested a lot of time and money into them. So I should, on theory, already be enough. It's like the opposite of the rut question that we had a whole discussion about, where it's like I should feel like everything's complete, but there's something that tells me it isn't. And the line of thinking I got to was like, what will be my forever watch? What will be the watch that when I'm old and gray, my grandkids will remember on my wrist, right? So right
and
now,
will
my dad
fight themselves over
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this because, like, my dad, for example, he has a I think 1959 Pepsi GMT Master gilt dial single underline spider patina, like crazy, like sick watch. But that was like it wasn't that's only recently that something like that has become desirable, right? Because of over time and like all these defects are coming through and it makes it rare or whatever. But to my dad, he's like, no, that's just my watch. I just wear it all the time. And he knows what it's worth, but he'll still wear it all the time.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so cool. And my dad, he's the one that gifted me my first watch and all this stuff. And, you know, that's kind of just in the family. So I'm thinking, what will that be for me? And I look at my watch box and I'm like, I don't think it's going to be this. Then I just came to this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. So then I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need to get a Grand Seiko or something because that's I started with Seiko watches and that's my favorite brand, and that will be more representative of me and my tastes. And the thing is, it's like I'm wearing one, right? But I think, oh, it's just slightly too big, 40 millimeters. Like I'm not a 40 millimeter guy. So the other thing though is I already have two other Grand Seikos that are 36 millimeter and 37 millimeter that look virtually identical. But then there's this new limited edition version that's a sweet spot of like 38 millimeters, but with vintage styling. But it's $10,000. Okay, so all of this is kind of crazy, and I'm just like finding myself thinking, why am I obsessing over what my future forever watch will be instead of just enjoying the watches I'm wearing right now? Because the only way it will become the future forever watch is if I wear it right now every day until the future. So that's kind of where I landed with it. Not really a great update, but I don't know if that resonates with anyone here. But that's just kind of the thought process I went through.
We were talking about it, right? That's the kind of that's the catch-22 of watch collecting, right? There's a half of the aspect of it is you want to nerd out about all the details. You want to see all of the new stuff. You want to see like the latest and greatest and improvements and upgrades to everything. And then on the other side of that, the watches that everybody talks about, the watches that people remember, are the ones they bought that was passed on 40, 50 years ago and worn every single day for 40 years. And those are the watches, those are the ones you wear. Those are the ones with a story. They don't have anything. They cost $300 at the PX in Vietnam or something. But those are the ones that endure. Those are the ones in the stories. Those are the ones in the books and the movies. So that's kind of like that weird transition, right, between that aspect of watch enjoyment and collectability and story versus the modern collecting shiny new thing mentality. So I totally get it. I mean, not even
Thank you, Mikey.
That just proves that even between the two of us, we are not immune to all of this. We fall into the exact same traps as everybody else. You think that as long as we've been in this and as much as we've been collecting and have gone through all of our phases and everything, that we would be done, quote unquote done, but we just spiral, we just fall back in, trip over ourselves and fall back in.
And I kind of wanted to share that story and that thought process just because it's sort of not what you'd expect from maybe somebody like me who's this like quasi influencer, you know, nano celebrity kind of thing, where you would expect me to say like, oh yeah, I get the latest and greatest thing all the time. But then internally, I still struggle with stuff like that. I'm just like a normal dude who's like has hobbies. And I don't know, maybe that resonated with some people if you're going through a similar thought process about your current EDC or the things that you have, similar to Colin Foundry, who's like in this EDC rut, right? Like
Yeah,
we're not immune to it. So I just wanted to share that. But and it's funny that you mentioned that oh, I'm gonna come up with this budget carry, and then here I am freaking out about a $10,000. But I think that's as great time as any then to
There are
jump
two
into
wolves
our
inside
yes.
us.
I want to starve both of them. So,
I-
but speaking of not starving, we should jump into the ad read for today's sponsor. So, Ridge is best known for their premium minimalist metal EDC wallets with ARPid blocking technology and a lifetime warranty. But they make all sorts of EDC gear these days, like knives, organizers, wedding bands, machine pens, backpacks, and hardshell luggage too. I use their products every day, and so do a ton of other people with over 50,000 5-star reviews. They make gear in quality materials like carbon fiber and titanium in a bunch of new matching colors and designs. But if metal wallets aren't your thing, they just launched a collection of soft leather wallets too, and you can try them out with a 99-day risk-free trial to see if you like them. So upgrade your EDC with our sponsor Ridge at ridge.com/carriedaway for 10% off your order. It helps support the show. So thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring today's episode. And then why don't we jump into our news cycle? We got a very special news cycle today.
the thing that has been killing me all week. We're excited to share it with you.
Yeah.
And fall into the spiral right along with us.
All right. So what do we got here? The 2024 Everyday Carry Holiday Gift Guide written by Mikey and the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we have put together all of the cool stuff we've seen this year so far, all of the fresh stuff, all of the neatest stuff, all of the stuff we are personally excited about. So there is almost 60 items to choose from across multiple categories. So there is probably something for everyone here. A number of the things I mentioned here will be in this list, like the CIVIVI Yonder.
Mm-hmm.
There's a G-Shock in there also. And yeah, just take a look. Let us know what you think. We'll be covering also separate deal guides and other stuff for Black Friday and all of that. But
yeah,
so far for this year, all of the cool stuff we've bought ourselves or are excited about and have come across our desk is in this list, I believe.
Yeah.
This could have gone to 100 easily.
Right.
But
that's a great way to frame it too. I was going to say, like, a lot of this is just some of our most favorite gear that we've seen or used or bought for our own EDCs this year. And then we kind of contextualize it, like why it would make a great gift and for whom. So that was a lot of work. Shout outs to Mikey, worked really hard on this. Hopefully this...
And that's kind of like the crux of EDC as a whole of what we've been doing all this time, right? We find cool stuff. We want to share the cool stuff.
Yeah. And then somebody asks, what's a cool thing to get? And then, we've tested this and then we like this, or we've seen this or we heard a bunch of our friends have been using this and they like this. So that's kind of how, this is broken down. Just popular categories, just a variety of products and styles
and brands,
different. So probably the people who are watching this right now, they might use this more like a wish list than a gift guide. But if you have any friends or something that are like, hey, I don't know what to get for this guy in my life, then just maybe send them this link. Maybe this will help them out, especially if you can kind of EDC pill them too. I think that'd be really fun. So
hopefully we know a little bit of what we're talking about and we can share some cool stuff rather than finding a 10 best EDC gifts from another website and they're recommending something from, I don't know. Never mind. Not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but
I mean, I would say like a lot of these we've done our research or we've tested them personally
or on them ourselves.
They're in our pockets right now, like that kind of stuff. So I would say at least this is vetted by me and Mikey. So there's definitely a bunch of stuff in here, and should also note that it's on the website, everydaycarry.com. By the time this episode comes out, might be a little bit pushing it in terms of like shopping season, but there are definitely some things that are like available on Amazon Prime, for example, that you can get pretty quickly. So it's crazy though. We put this out middle of November, and then Black Friday and Cyber Monday is like December of this year, but Christmas doesn't change.
God, we've had 3 Prime days.
I know. It's just like when we started, working on the website, it wasn't like this. It would be
No.
like we stay up Black Friday. That's when all the deals come out after Thanksgiving, and we update this thing live. But now it's like brands have been promoting stuff and coming out with stuff way earlier, and the shopping season is like all year long. It's
I
kind
know.
of draining.
Just today, I've gotten
Yeah.
probably 15 different Black Friday deal emails. I'm like, I actually need to do not disturb my email alerts because there
Uh,
is too much. There's too much. Stop
yeah.
bugging me about deals. I don't need deals right now.
Yeah. Well, can't wait to make you write more for the website. No, I'm just kidding.
Do more videos and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is gonna be great, and yeah, we're gonna have supplemental content for this just throughout the rest of the shopping season. So if you need gift ideas, or if you know people that do, send them this. Thank you. We'll jump into the next part of the news cycle then. How about this? This is the
Okay, so
Firefly.
this is a little bit of the deep end because I just discovered this recently and I
Okay.
think it's pretty awesome. So for the longest time, probably the past few years, if you look into like super enthusiast flashlight forums or Reddit or something, you would get the recommendation of something like an MSRD4. That's probably the poster child for a value, high performance, Anduril interface, super enthusiast level flashlight. So now
Mhm.
there's a new sheriff in town. I found out that I believe Fireflies has been around for a few years, but this is their first really interesting EDC flashlight. For one good reason, they make their own emitter, and apparently
Oh.
it's one of the best emitters on the market right now. This beats Nichia. This beats anything Cremix, Nichia, Samsung LEDs. They're
Mhm.
apparently their rosy tint. I believe that's the one in the middle, the 4000K.
Yeah.
That
Interesting.
used to be the for the super nerdy stuff. That used to be like the super ideal tint from the old Nichia 219C emitter. That particular
Okay.
rosy tint, they're always described as rosy tints. So that one in the middle is like the creme de la creme of tints. And now Firefly Lights makes it by themselves at a very affordable price in a really affordable host with a
Mm.
bunch of other features. So this is kind of like the new enthusiast EDC light, super premium features, value packed flashlight these
Yeah.
days. So
So would you
I thought we
say, yeah, the in-house emitter and the tint that they're able to achieve is the sort of killer feature of this?
yes, absolutely, and the
Okay.
price. I
Oh, and
believe
the
it's
price. So this is less than
under.
$50. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So if you want to try the absolute cutting edge of enthusiast flashlights without breaking the bank, which is kind of
Mm.
amazing for the flashlight hobby. Yeah, so this is the one to look at right now. I don't know. I don't know if I should be saying this. I feel like this is kind of one of those gate kept finds
Uh-huh.
that you shouldn't like. Don't tell people about that new thing. But I don't know. I found it really cool, and just the fact that it's an affordable thing, and it
Yeah.
just this tint is something that the flashlight hobbyists are always chasing. This particular quote unquote rosy tint is always
Interesting.
kind of like the grail tint that people are looking for. So now it's easily available. They make it themselves, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
Taking on the giant that is Cree and Samsung and all of those guys. So yeah, found it really interesting and affordable. And I'm probably gonna pick one up for myself just so I have that particular LED for myself.
Nice. Some flashlight nerdery coming through.
Hmm.
The deep cut recommendation.
Deep cut, the
Firefly.
deepest cut.
Yeah. Rosy tint. You heard it here first.
Mm.
I don't know if that's true. But I don't know how many
When you
people.
go to the elite flashlight club and you whisper through the sliding door, rosy
Uh-huh.
tint. Yeah,
Rosy yeah,
you know
that's the password.
that's the code word.
Yeah. Very cool.
4000K.
So that's yeah, the Firefly Light Expert Q Comet with the rosy tint, the in-house emitters. Very cool. Under
Yeah,
$50. So thanks, Mikey, for putting us onto that. Why don't we just entertain something much more expensive? You
let's do
know,
it.
like let's stop
Balance
looking
it
at
out.
things that most people can actually afford. And yeah, let's just jump into this $450 MSRP automatic knife with CPM Magnacut steel from Zero Tolerance.
Hey, zero tolerance is back. What do you know?
Yeah. After a long hiatus now. It
Yeah,
feels like it.
I feel like they're only making one actual zero tolerance blade a year, and then just banking on iridiums for the rest of it.
Yeah. No
I
more
think
budget
there's
options. Yeah.
yeah, I think they've made maybe what 10 or 12 different Kershaw iridiums at this point, and
Yeah.
then
And for
one.
people who don't know, so like there's Kai Limited, right? That's like the parent company. And
Mhm,
then under it, there's Zero Tolerance, which is the higher end brand.
yeah,
And then under that is Kershaw. So a lot
yeah,
of people are probably familiar with Kershaw. And one of their more popular knives as of late was the Iridium, just because the Kershaw Iridium is sort of that similar bug out competitor, the
yeah.
platform where it's like a 3-ish inch blade with
Crossbar
the
lock.
crossbar lock.
Yeah,
But I liked the Iridium because it's a little bit longer of a blade, more interesting, like angular geometry, and then the handles I think were way beefier. They're metal. I don't remember if they're steel or aluminum, but they're
yeah.
way beefier and more solid than your standard bug out. So that was a hit with some of the EDC crowd.
And then
And
it came out
then
in Magnacut as well, and yeah,
mhm. And then for a while, like it's been pretty silent from what I remember from Zero Tolerance.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think
and then this is
the last knife I remember them making was this tactical black and coyote
mm,
033, I believe was the code. One of anyway. I think that was the last one they made. That was maybe what 3 or 4 years ago at this point. But yeah, zero tolerance is back. Magna
yep,
Cut
and
automatic.
automatic. I think that's the main takeaway from this
Yeah,
for me anyway.
3.4 inch also.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm like super sensitive to when things are automatic because it's very hard to carry here in California, especially at this length, like full. Like I would say this is even big, right? This is like what 3.5 inch, 3.4 inch.
3.4. Yeah, that's
It's
a
like
little big.
almost a big knife to be auto.
How do you like the
And
design though?
dude, I love the design. So
Is that a
um,
Bernard knife?
yeah, this is a Bernard knife
Okay,
because it
I'm getting
reminds
it.
me of my CIVIVI. What is this?
Right,
470, 0470,
right,
right? So
right.
like I still held on to this thing, and I think that this kind of just encapsulates a lot of my design sensibilities. So I've held on to this.
Okay,
And this
I will
reminds me
lock
of
that
that. I
in.
was very yeah, exactly. I was very excited for this until I saw that it's gigantic and automatic
Yeah.
and expensive. But like, yeah, I mean, I've held on to this one for a while. So you know,
Speaking of
cost per
keeping the
carry over
yeah,
years. Yeah.
speaking of keeping the vintage one over the new and shiny. Yeah.
But yes. So what else can we say about this?
I can say that I wish Kai USA would open up their and not region lock their website so we can look at this directly. We can
Oh,
actually that's been bugging me for a long time. But anyway, that's
wait.
besides the
Let
point.
me see. Oh, sorry. Let
You
me
can
see if I can
probably
find it.
open the site for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. Through the magic of
If I'm gonna
editing,
yeah.
yeah, we are now on the Zero Tolerance site.
Mhm.
So good look at this thing. Made in USA. That's one of Zero Tolerance's
Mm.
hallmarks, right? Made in USA. Magnacut. Dude, I just think it looks really good. I love the like the
Does.
swedge up top into
Nice use of the inlay as
the
well.
jimping. Yeah, this is very tasteful, dude. It just looks so good.
It does. If they made
Like,
this a little smaller and not automatic, it would be perfect.
mhm.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and look at this button. That's like crazy. But anyway, this is also made in the same factory as their popular launch automatics. So people love the
Oh,
launch stuff. So
yeah. I like the launch stuff actually.
yeah,
Some of the
yeah.
launch models are really really good. Yeah.
Do you have an opinion overall on automatics versus manual or assisted even? I don't think we've ever talked about this on the website or
Mm.
on the podcast either.
Yeah, like OTFs are really popular as well in the community.
Mm,
I'm not a fan just because it's a lot more moving parts, and I feel
literally,
like
yes.
with the humidity and dirt, it's just gonna break over time, rather than
Ah,
something you
interesting.
can just disassemble and clean and put back together perfectly, like with just washers or ceramic bearings or whatever. And automatic is just an additional layer of mechanical thing that has a potential to break.
Hmm.
I think that's
That
kind of where I stand on it.
That's an interesting consideration. For me, I don't really gravitate towards automatics because I would think the main value of an automatic would be speed of deployment, right?
Yeah.
But with good enough action, on so many of these modern knives, it's basically instant. It's basically automatic. And it's
Yeah.
to me, it's more fun to manually flick something open than to press the button and it does it
Same.
for me. And sometimes, depending on the action of the auto itself, there's too much recoil or kickback in a way that's like jarring and doesn't feel safe or fluid or cool. And I get that it would make sense on more tactical knives and tactical applications, but like to me, this doesn't read super tactical in its styling. I can kind of see it, but this is more like gents kind of knife area for me, just the proportions on it. If it were shrunken down, like you're saying.
Yeah,
so I would have loved to see this basically just like my 0470, right? Like this slender, smaller, classy looking knife. But alas, this is where we're at with zero tolerance in 2024, almost 2025. The
What's the SRP on it?
It was 450. Street price seems to be 360, and that's also what it is on BHQ.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let us know what was your
favorite.
What
people think about this?
What was or is your current favorite zero tolerance knife?
All right. A bit rich for my taste, Mikey. Why don't you? What is? Let's. My page is frozen. Okay, 1 second. Yeah. Why don't we jump into the next one?
Yeah.
This is.
Remember this?
Yeah.
Remember the Nanolite? Man, the original Nanolite takes me so all the way back. It seemed like when we started, it was in everybody's keychain. That was the all-time classic. And in 2024, in 2024, they've made. I did not realize there was a quadruple A battery. I don't know if I just forgot about it, but I didn't realize even that there was. Yeah. So instead of a button cell battery that the original Nano came with, now you have a quadruple A, which I did not know actually existed, or I forgot that it existed. So it's a little larger profile. I believe it's 30 lumens, if I'm not mistaken, and
20 lumens.
20 lumens, and it's the same similar form factor with the larger head a little bit for a bit more spill and everything. So perfect thing to add to your keychain again. And yeah, the Nano's back. And it's, I don't know what the SRP is, but it's probably not going to be that expensive either.
Yeah, it's probably not that expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm not hiding my reaction to this, but I am just like, I don't know if I get it though. Okay, because let's consider the original Nanolite, right? I believe that was button cell, a little bit shorter, probably not as much output, and it's just like something so you have light on your keychain. And I guess this was like so long ago that maybe even phone flashlights weren't that good. So it kind of made sense to have one of these, just tack that on there. But now at quadruple A, one, you didn't even know that battery cell type existed, that format existed. So it's not like a matter of convenience, right? It's like, oh yeah, I mean, just pull out some quadruple A's from the time capsule.
Let me go to the 7-Eleven, buy a quadruple A. And get,
so that's why I'm like, and then 20 lumens for a 1 hour runtime. I don't know if that's worth it with the inconvenience of quadruple A, right?
Yeah, true.
I could see this being something like to really squeeze out the functionality, throw this on like a zipper on like an emergency bag or something where it's maybe not going to be used every day, all day kind of thing, because but just like that one time when you're going to need 1 hour of light. It's like pretty usable light. And to me, even 20 is too bright for this because of the runtime, right? Like
I feel like some people are going to say 20 is not enough, but then we're like, no, it's too bright for something.
That's why I'm like, if it were 5 and then much longer runtime, or maybe 1 or even sub 1 for like super long, that could be interesting. So I'm curious how this could be put into different EDCs.
What we need is a reissue of the photon light. Remember the photon light and the other button press.
And this one has a lens. I don't think the original one had a lens, did it?
Yeah, I think it was just an exposed that plastic
like little 5mm bulb.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see how something from so long ago kind of evolves and what they land on in terms of design and functionality. Maybe I'm
Mhm.
just too
And
millennial and just can't think of how this would work.
and yeah, you had a good point. It's up against some really stiff and affordable competition these days. Compare it to the if this were maybe what $12 just for a little bit more, well, not a little bit more, maybe four times that, you get the Firefly's light, the Meteor,
Okay.
and that is like
Yeah.
absolute cutting edge, state of the art, 2,000 lumens and everything you're gonna need out of an EDC light. Then
Yeah.
yeah, the
But
value
you're
proposition kind of starts
you're
tipping.
comparing like apples to a rose
True,
bush
true,
at that
actually,
point though.
true,
That's like
true, true, true.
way
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, but it's out there. Latest development from Streamlight. I'm curious if anybody has used the original Nano Light,
Or
and
still
if they
carry it.
have, yeah, or still carry it. And if you
Yeah.
do, what are your thoughts on the Nano Light too? And Mikey, what would you use this for if you were to use this?
Exactly what I think it's for. Just putting it in a keychain and forgetting about it until you
Okay.
forget that they don't sell quadruple A's at 7-Eleven and you're just kind of screwed. But yeah,
Yeah.
good point there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's probably super well built too, like all the stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
Maybe we're clutching at straws here. Maybe we're kind of reaching to make a case for it. But yeah.
yeah. Well, got to share everything, right? So
Yeah.
let's jump into the next segment. By the way, if you want to check out the rest of the news releases for the week, you can always go to everydaycarry.com. Mikey and the team work hard to bring you some of that news. And then next, we'll jump into our community questions. So every week on Instagram, we'll post a story asking what questions you guys want answered, and then we'll try our best to yap a bit about them. Hopefully, something helpful comes out of it. So we'll start here with Mikey. You pick one to start because I don't know what to start with here.
Gosh. Let's start with the hardest question. Do you have an absolute favorite EDC item and why? From DO EDC.
A fire question, by the way.
Hmm. I lately I've been asking my friends like their top favorite. Okay, very difficult questions for ranking stuff. For example, what are your five favorite songs? What are your five favorite movies?
Mm-hmm.
What are your five favorite video games? And it's becoming increasingly harder to answer these questions because there's so many aspects to it. For example, is it the movie that when you come across it somewhere you're going to stop and drop everything and continue watching it, or is it
Mm-hmm.
your all-time favorite movie conceptually but it's kind of like a drag to keep watching it over and over? Is it a
Mm.
movie you don't mind watching every single year for some reason? So it's kind of like hard to qualify it in terms of that. I feel
Yeah.
like it's kind of similar here. Is it something you have nostalgia for, like a watch? Is it something that got you started in EDC? Is it something you actually practically use every day? So
Right. I get what you're
tough
saying.
question. Tough
The
question.
question itself is framed so directly that it's very difficult. But
I
like you
know.
mentioned, there's so many different frameworks to tackle something that approximates an answer to this, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, we've done the burning house question a lot, I think, on the show, where it's like
Hmm.
if your house is burning down, everyone was safe, what would you grab, right? And
Hmm.
what was the thing that you saved from the house fire? That could
Yeah.
be one way to like determine if it's your favorite. But
Yeah.
I don't know, that might not be the right proxy or framework to look at that. It could be if you're on a deserted island, what do you
Yeah.
bring with you? But that's different too because there's that layer of functionality, and people might literally think, what do I need to survive on an island?
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Maybe something.
there's a framework
Mhm.
here where if you lost everything or if you sold everything, what would you buy again?
Buy right away. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Or yeah.
it also kind of feeds into the next question. But I did think about this question. It's probably not a great answer, but
Hmm.
I'll walk through the thought process of how I arrived there. And
Sure.
it just happened to be that we did the zero tolerance news segment, but I
Mhm.
had this right on the desk ready. And it was actually not for the zero tolerance news segment, but for this question. So, do you have an absolute favorite EDC item and why? I don't know if this was my absolute favorite, but the reason why I thought it could be is because I've still held on to it. I don't even remember when I got this, but I feel like it's around
Oh wow.
2015, 2016, right?
I feel like it's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I still held on to it, and I don't even carry it though. So for some people, that might disqualify it for
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
your favorite because you don't use it every day, you don't interact with it every day. But for some reason, I've kept it. And
Mhm.
like I was saying, this is a very Bernard knife, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little bit long, but it's kind of like a Bernard knife. And I think there's something about that when, well, hopefully, if you have a good, like,
when it
hold
matches.
yourself. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. When it kind of encapsulates you or your self concept or reflects what you think resonates with you,
Mm.
then maybe you would like that. It kind of depends on your self concept and in what regard you hold yourself. But
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
see this thing, I'm like, yeah, this is a Bernard knife, and I'm happy to call it one. Right? I'm
Yeah.
happy to call
Yeah.
it a Bernard knife. And I just like it that much. Doesn't mean that I'll use it every day or I carry it all the time or I think it's objectively better than all the other stuff. But in that sense, it is one of my favorites, I think. I don't even know
Okay.
if my favorite EDC item in general would be a knife, right? Like if somebody
Mm.
told me, Bernard, you can't carry knives for the rest of your life, I'd be like, damn, that sucks. Oh, well,
Anyway.
and it's just like, yeah,
Anyway.
life moves on. Like I wouldn't be that caught up about it, but
Ooh, now that you brought that framework as well, that's a tough
uh-huh.
one. If you told me I couldn't carry a flashlight or a knife or a bag anymore, would I be? I'd be like, oh, that's tough. Anyway,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I'd be okay. So, oh, that's
What
tough.
about
That's tough.
flashlights? What if you were forced to live in a dark dungeon with no flashlights?
With no quadruple A's around. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
What would you do?
Okay, I think I have an answer for this. Let me just grab it.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned a number of times on the show that flashlights were where it started it all for me, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this I'm gonna hold it up. This is the Sunway Man V10R Ti Plus, and
Throwback.
why I think this is the my favorite EDC item is it encapsulates a lot of what I loved and love about EDC and a lot of aspects of it that I still like to this day. Number one, this was one of the most expensive early things that I bought for EDC
Mm.
because it was titanium. So this also started my love for titanium. This continued my love for flashlights, which started me off in EDC as a whole. And it's rotary. So my favorite, absolute favorite flashlight interface.
Yes. Yeah.
So for people who don't know, rotary is there's a magnetic ring here near the top. You turn it on with a button at the top, but you control the brightness with this magnetic ring. So
Yeah. So you're
infinite
twisting.
brightness. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're twisting. Infinite control, brain dead simple to use. Like, and you can hand this to anybody, they understand how to use it. And it's both nostalgic and premium and still useful to me to this day. And every time I look at it on my shelf, I'm like, damn, that's a nice light. So I think
Yeah.
this is gonna be my answer. Too bad Sunway Man isn't making lights anymore. If they made a new one of this, oh, that would be fantastic, and I could just
Mm-hmm.
keep this on the shelf forever. But I still think this would outlive me. It uses my favorite battery, 16340 or RCR 123, my favorite battery platform as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is absolute perfection of a flashlight, premium or otherwise, in terms of functionality and aesthetic. I think this is as Mikey flashlight as it gets.
Yeah, see that you're identifying with the flashlight, which I think is like an important consideration for both of
Mhm.
our answers. Another
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to appreciate about your answer was that was in some way formative to your tastes, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
This was the thing that made you understand what you like and what you connect with
Mhm.
in this hobby. I think that's really cool. That's really important. And
Yeah.
then also it kind of bookmarks a time in your relationship to EDC as a whole. And I think the same
Yeah.
thing is true of this zero tolerance because
It's a chapter marker.
disclaimer, I guess, because zero tolerance used to advertise with EDC,
Yeah.
but this was probably back when I was first turning EDC into like that kind of business model where
Yeah.
we were, and it was crazy to me to think, damn, I'm getting seeded expensive product and I'm being paid to share something I think is sick. Like
Yeah.
that is cool, right? And
Yeah.
that I think as a younger me, I think I'm in my early 20s, I'm doing that, starting my career from scratch, and like that's one of those things. I think this reminds me of that time. too.
Mm.
And it's like premium, it's titanium, it's carbon fiber, but also the forged carbon fiber, not like the woven carbon fiber. That was like new and cool. Just
It's got
anyway,
those little details that you
yeah.
identify with, and the fact that you can identify those details, and they're also kind of like that niche thing that I don't know. I always think that you try to deny it so much, but I think you really like those if you know details, and the fact that you're able to spot them and to have them be a part of like things that other people might just overlook.
Can we just say I appreciate an attention to detail rather than this
Yes,
if
that's what I'm trying to
you
say.
know framework? Okay,
That's
thank you.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's when I say if you know, that's exactly the angle I'm coming from.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm just remember. Yeah,
because just for people who don't know it, if you know, you know it.
I'm not trying to gatekeep. Okay,
yeah,
I'm not trying to gatekeep.
It sounds funny to try to explain what if you know is, but there is
if you know,
a nuance. Shut up. There's a nuance of if you know, then you are kind of better than everyone else in that.
Yeah,
way.
no.
You're part of this exclusive club. That's not what we're trying to do here. Don't really care. So that's kind of why I always have this aversion to Mikey, like saying that I'm the poster child for if you know, you know. That is not the case. Anyway, hopefully DO EDC, this kind of answers that. It just, I don't know how people think about this. I'm curious to know what people's favorite EDC item is, and then how you even think about what your favorite is.
Yeah.
So hard. You could just do the cop-out answer. I love them all. They all serve a different thing. But
it's like choosing which child of mine is my favorite.
yeah, but that's impossible to do, which is why I cannot answer Spider Uno's question, best home EDC for a house band who may be a father. So, dude, I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I am just like chronically extremely single. Maybe, Mikey, you have a better answer.
Gosh.
I'm living that bachelor life, so.
Best home EDC. Practical answer for me would probably be a flashlight in every room, just in case the lights go out and you have something easy to grab. Would maybe put some glow in the dark stuff on it to keep it handy. Charged batteries.
Leatherman.
Yeah, Leatherman's really handy for
around the house stuff.
Around the house kind of stuff without having to keep the bulky toolbox pulling it out from the garage and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would say charged batteries or spare batteries like lithium primaries that you can just keep on the shelf for emergencies. I think those three are going to be my primary answers. Maybe a go back just for the absolute.
That's a good one.
An absolute, just something by the door with emergency supplies and first aid and all of that.
First aid, yeah.
If you're in an earthquake prone or a flood prone area, especially with the weather these days, maybe something worth putting together and just keeping by the door, keeping by the closet by the door, something like that. And
just things to provide and protect your family and property.
Yes,
that's kind of what I'm getting from that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have those things, so I'm not the best to answer that. So hopefully that's useful, Spider Uno. I know that people listening will have better answers than me. Maybe as good or better than Mikey's. I don't know. But if you're a home house band husband person, please. Or if you make house music in a band, that would be sick too. I'd love to hear your answers for an EDC. Thank you, Spider Uno. Next, we'll go to Par Wars. Says, what's one knife or multi-tool you wish they would make again? So we've already kind of talked about this episode, but are there any specifics that we've left out, Mikey?
I want the Benchmade Anthem to come back. I'm going to get flamed for that for sure.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that before. Yeah.
I want the Benchmade Anthem to come back.
That is such a, like, be careful of who you make fun of in high school or be careful of who you call ugly in high school, right? When it came out, everyone was kind of hating on it. And now that it's gone, everyone's like,
I know.
That was actually sick. Yeah. So.
And it's like.
That's why it pays to not be a hater. Just.
appreciate.
Uh-huh.
Don't hate. Just appreciate.
Yeah. Appreciate.
We've mentioned Atwood a couple of times. I wish, those multi-tools would come back because they just look sick and there haven't been anything like them since. Mm-hmm. Like the tool, the one that looks like this. That you just put on your keychain and you just have a driver or a box opener.
Baby, you know?
The Pry Baby, there
yeah.
The Pry Baby,
exactly. G4 or something like that.
It's so simple. It's a simple, really well-made titanium tool that you just leave on your keychain forever. And I wish I grabbed one when I could back then, but now he doesn't make them. Now I want one. Again,
Mhm.
we're back to that mindset. But I would say those two are the very, very top of my list. Oh, and number three, more of these. I wish
Yeah,
some
but
women would commit.
that's not
Yeah,
a knife or multi-tool, so
yeah,
disqualified. I was gonna
yeah.
say, like, dude, I want so many of like these vintage watch designs to come back, and some of them do,
Mm,
but they get so expensive and they're
yeah,
not
yeah.
exactly the same. So that's a whole other thing. But for knife or multi-tool, I wish they would make again. I've mentioned this before. The Leatherman Juice S2. I think
Ooh,
that one's so
good
good
pick.
because like
Yeah.
I don't want I mean the free and the arc and the wave and all that and the skeletal, they're all full size and they're not that heavy, but the juice is just a little bit smaller, right?
The juice.
Sometimes you
Have the
don't want
juice.
yeah, sometimes you don't want a full glass of multi-tool. You just want to sip, a little juice
Yeah,
box, a little sippy, right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Juice was the one that also came in a with the textured handles and the colors, right?
Yeah, mainly had
Yeah.
colors. The original ones didn't have the textured handles, and then they
Right,
kind
right,
of
right.
the next release did, and then they did retro them for a very brief time, and I
Oh
missed out
yeah,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that
That's a good one.
platform is
That's a good one.
underexplored. That compact slash mid size
Oh,
multi
I
tool.
have I have an answer along those lines. I think they're still around, but very limited now. The Style series, the Style PS and the Style CS. I wish those
Yeah,
were still kind of full. I haven't actually checked. They might actually still be around, but I like those because they were keychain sized, and one of them was a tiny pliers, and one of them was a tiny scissors as the
scissors.
main
Yeah.
butterfly tool. I really like
Okay.
the scissors one, whichever it
Now
was.
you're
Yeah.
reminding me of something I think everyone else wishes they would make again. TSA compliant tools,
Yes,
right?
actually,
We forgot about that. Like all
yeah,
of
yeah.
like Jet Setter, Dime Travel, like all those things just like don't
Mm.
exist anymore. What's up with that?
And I think people just got tired because even if you'd had those,
True.
there was still a chance it got taken
It's up to
away.
the
Yeah,
agent. Yeah, they're just like, yeah, I don't
just
care. I'm taking that. Yeah.
that looks
Okay.
like a
Well.
tool. Mine.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So Power
Yeah.
Wars. Hopefully that's a lot there.
Yeah.
And then I'm curious what other people think. Let's jump into one last question.
Sure.
So Nico Pandacoco asks, "How about shoes? Any recommended shoes?" This is just so
Oh
random. I
man.
love this question.
Oh
I love the
man.
bravery to ask this question on this podcast. Like it kind of makes sense. I bet you the people listening here already in their mind know what shoe that they would recommend because that's just like how we are as people. I think. Mikey, why don't you take it away? I know you think about sneakers and shoes more than I
Oh
do.
yeah. We've progressed a long way. We've gone through boot phases. We've gone through. I went through a whole barefoot shoe phase, and now that I'm kind of decrepit and in advanced age, all I want now are the super comfiest,
Comfortable.
plushiest
Yeah.
shoes. I really like the past few years the Nike Invincible Run series with the Pebax Zoom X midsole, my number one pick. I picked up a couple of Ultra Boost lights last year. I think those are kind of underrated. You can get them. I saw them everywhere in the outlets at half price, like 30% down to 30%. If you could
Mm.
get grab a hold of those are really cool. But across the board, everybody is making super plush midsole. New Balance has a bunch of them. A bunch. Saucony has a bunch of them. Adidas
Mhm.
has a bunch of them. So take your
I
pick.
would
I just
look
like.
at Hoka One One. That's the
Okay,
one
there
that
you go.
yeah.
Oh, did you know that they don't call it One anymore? It's just Hoka now.
Oh, okay. Because people
Yeah,
kept calling it 1-1.
yeah, exactly. Hoka one.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Clifton series is really good. I really like the
I have
Bondi
those. Yeah,
series as well. Yeah,
yeah.
I had four different Bondis I think at one point. These days I'm just going full sandal life because it's so hot. I don't
I
want to
would
wear
next to.
socks and full closed shoes.
Mhm.
So, one niche recommendation I want to recommend, just because it's kind of EDC adjacent, I want
Okay.
to I want to put people onto the brand called Norda. They're a Canadian trail running sneaker company, and they make stuff out of biodegradable Dyneema. So
Mhm.
that's, I think, a little niche. They're really, really good. When I went to the States earlier this year, those were my primary shoe because I knew I would be hiking in San Francisco and stuff and walking around in Vegas and all of that. And they held up so well. They were so comfortable.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, just size right because they're a little bit they're a bit wider in the forefoot, which is really comfortable for me because I have a bit of a wide forefoot, and you get that niche. If you know, no.
If you
Yeah,
shut.
they have that nice detail that appeals
I could
to an
tell
EDC.
by the way that you were forming your lips that you were about to say that. I had to stop
Yeah.
you before you did. So,
Yeah.
okay. So for me, if I'm going to talk about shoes, especially on the Carried Away podcast, what I would do is kind of look at this with the mindset of maybe a gear enthusiast and as an EDCer, right?
Mm.
Because there's two sides, well, maybe not just two, but you can look at shoes as purely utilitarian or purely aesthetic, right? I like to do both, to be honest. But when I'm looking at things that are aesthetic, usually the aesthetic follows some kind of functional design language. So two brands that I like, or not two brands, but like one for sneaker, one for boots. I think this is sort of interesting to explore. For sneakers, I like shoes that Mikey's talking about, like say Norda. My favorite is actually right now Solomon. Solomon makes stuff for trail running, but they also do street style. And these are performance synthetic materials that are inspired by outdoor applications, but look good on the street, trail running, stuff like that. And it synergizes a lot to the type of clothing I like, tech wear. We've talked about this on the show with This is Antoine. And then also that synergizes with materials like Mikey's talking about with Norda, even my dispatch bag, all of that kind of goes together. So I think that's really cool for the people that are into outdoorsy stuff, travel. So like that technical performance works.
I just wanted to add a couple of things for Salomon because I really love Salomon as well. Number one, if you're sick of laces and tying your shoes, the Salomon quick lace system is really, really good.
Yep.
And then number two, also kind of EDC adjacent, the special forces community love Salomons.
Oh, dude, when I go to the SHOT Show, like that's how I blend in. We're all wearing Speedcross.
Yeah. Speedcross, XA3D Pros, those are my favorite. XC6s, I like my XC6 Gore-Tex ones. Yeah, Salomon can't go wrong.
That too, Gore-Tex. So they also have weather resistance and protection there too.
Yeah.
And then now if you're not on that side, like if that's not your vibe, I think I just want to open up the term Goodyear welt. I think if you just hear that, then just go Google that or Reddit or whatever it is. You can just go through a whole rabbit hole of boots and stuff. And a lot of that ties into maybe EDCers who are into that heritage look, buy it for life, right? That kind of stuff.
Oh, can you explain what Goodyear welt is?
No, I think it is the construction of like the bottom of the shoe so that it can be repaired and it's sort of standardized with high quality brands and artisans kind of follow that format, right?
It makes the shoe repairable, basically.
Yes.
You can take off the sole once it wears off. You can take it to a good cobbler and they'll give you a replacement leather or other material type of bottom sole and the midsole, and they'll just sew it up together, glue it back together. That Goodyear welt process makes it a standardized thing that lets you repair your shoes and have your worn-in boots last you your entire life, pretty much.
Yeah. So I think if this is like this podcast is a community for EDCers, just find whatever the Goodyear welt community is for boots, and that'll get you started on your little rabbit hole if you're a boots kind of guy, or gal. So there we go. Lots of questions, lots of good discussion. So to round out the show, first of all, thank you for submitting those. You can do that on our weekly Instagram posts or send us an email. We'll have that in the description. Next, let's jump into EDC submissions for the week. And now, this one is from JM Dillinger. Sick, high contrast EDC right here. They say general utility, also being able to practice photography. Well, it pays off because that's a great photo. And what do we got here in this EDC? We got the Alpaca Metro Sling with the zip pouch, Orbic sanitizer. Oh, I'm kind of seeing this aesthetic coming together already. AirPods Pro in UAG
stealthy
case.
Urban street photographer
like
style.
Modern, creative. Yeah. RX 100. I love seeing point and shoot digicams. And then
so disclaimer, full disclosure, this is a friend of mine and he is looking for a GR3. He is on that.
Oh yeah.
Just to pair with the RX. Yeah.
Is he in the States? I'll sell him one of mine.
No, but yeah, I'll tell him. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Yep. And then lastly, this grip tight mount. And then on the other side, they got their high vis. So this is the Ridge Hyperlime collection here with the wallets, old action pen, and key case. And then one of our favorite flashlights, the Wuben X3. That thing is crazy. and then some lip balm here.
That also happens to be kind of hyper lime-ish, voltish. It's a good match. Yeah, I love the photo, love the contrast, and shout outs to my friend JM. I'm not much to add. All the bases are covered. You got the whole stealthy, technical, urban sling style on the left, and you got your wild side on the right. Just adding that huge pop of color with the hyper lime, the super highlighter yellow. Yeah,
and I think this is a good example of where high vis color can come into your EDC, because a lot of people will go for that all black everything, right? And it kind of makes sense for your bags and whatever. Your camera especially, you want to keep discreet and low profile. But for the things that you want to access or not lose, especially, high vis makes sense. Like, you don't want to lose your wallet, you don't want to lose your keys, right? So if you have that in a pouch or sling or whatever, it's easier to identify that way, especially also if you drop it while you're out and about practicing your photography, your street photography, maybe. There's that benefit too. So
I always remember those mossy oak wallets sold to hunters, and then if they drop it in the forest, it's gone forever. You're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, what are you buying out there hunting in the forest? You know?
Yeah.
Don't they take Apple Pay? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is for our pick. I didn't pick this actually, but I probably would have. I do like the Sony RX100 series. I think I used that a lot on the website actually in like 2015. That was my camera before it kind of upgraded and we did a lot more video content and stuff. So that's a very powerful pocketable camera. And digicams are in right now, by the way, people. So if you want that 2010s aesthetic, you can find older versions of this. So
cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friend Jam. Thanks for the submission. Really cool stuff. I know for a fact that he really worked hard on this photo, so it shows. So shout out.
Are they in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Okay. So that maybe explains why no crazy knife setup.
Yeah. I think at this point he was still figuring out what knife to get. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll jump into the next one. So thank you, JM, for that. And then this one is from Barath at Barath P. Ooh. This is like the last one, but just the full all black.
Just the left side.
Tech. Yeah. So some really cool stuff here. So they're a software engineer in California. This is my matte black carry for work. So multi-tool and flashlight come in handy for quick disassembling / debugging computer parts or electronics in a lab when specialized tools are far from reach. I like whenever your EDC can just help make your job more convenient. I started my EDC when I was also working in the lab, but engineering lab. So what do we have in this EDC? We got the earbuds. These are the Sony WF-1000XM5. So this is their newest true wireless. Have a pair of these. Also good. SOG PowerPoint in black. This smallish multi-tool. So I guess there are like those mid-size multi-tools still out there, right?
And the Dyneema is still out there also. So let's not forget.
Yeah, but not the travel version, I don't think.
Yeah.
They got the square digital watch from Nixon, the Regulus here. Sony
Underrated.
phone. Phone, man of culture, I think. Yeah.
Is that one of the Walkman phones? Or
Sony phones are like, they have both good, well, from what I remember, like good audio, right? Sony like music stuff, but then also their camera control configuration is like pro level camera stuff in your smartphone. So that's, I think, what the more modern meta of Sony smartphone devices are for.
Until they're forgotten in the Android upgrade cycle every 2 years.
Sadly.
I'm kidding. Sony phones are cool.
Then we got this Hank that it's lying on, and then we have the Rovivant Aurora A3 Gen 4 in black. That's probably on my keychain too, in a different color. And then Pioneer Carry wallet. So this is in baby ballistic, and then the Tile Slim and the Tesla key in that wallet. So very cool.
I've never seen a wallet that just has technical stuff in it and not like regular cards.
Actual cards and cash.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. And shout outs to Pioneer Carry as well. Early on in EDC, they were one of the pioneers with their fabrics.
Oh, you said that.
Yeah, they have. Oh my god! I just realized what I just said. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
not pun intended, but
trailblazers of
trailblazers of materials.
technical material use in everyday
Yeah,
carry goods.
I
Yes,
had their billfold in 10XD, which is, I believe, the
10XD. Yep.
material this wallet is made from. Super nice. That
This might be
thing was a
3PN or
tank.
something. I think it's
Yeah,
because
3PN
10XD had it.
is.
10XD had the grid. This is more like a soft shell. So
Oh,
10XD is
right,
closer
right.
to like XPack.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this
yeah.
is more like a soft shell.
Yeah, very, very early on, they were really unique with both 10XD and 3PN. Really, if you're
Yeah.
looking for something different for wallet materials, yeah, they've got wallets across the board that are really, really interesting and use
Yeah.
those two materials to great effect.
But
yeah.
not only the materials, I think their manufacturing methods are also cool in that they're
Mm,
minimal aesthetically, but also just strong by design, right? So you have like bar tack stitching to reinforce the ends of the card pockets. I
mm,
think the lips or the edges are like ultrasonic bonded, like welded or RF
yeah,
welded or something. It's not stitched, I think. But it
yeah.
wouldn't surprise me if they were the type to
If anybody
use
were to
those.
do it,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
would be
Those
them.
advanced construction methodologies, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So Pioneer Carry, very cool for this style of like card carrier, especially
yeah,
if you just have a tracker. They must have actual bank cards and credentials in here if you're tracking it, right, with a
yeah.
tile slim.
But they're not all black, so gotta hide
Hmm.
those for now.
Yeah. And this makes sense, like having tile, I think, instead of say like AirTag or something, because you're just not in that ecosystem, right? You're like in the
Yeah,
Sony kind of ecosystem. So
yeah.
uh, yeah,
And I picked out the Nixon Regulus. Very underrated digital watch. I think the size of it just kind of throws people off,
yeah, 46 mil.
but I think I really, really like the design of the Regulus.
Mm.
And
It's
yeah,
so legible,
yeah,
so
exactly.
legible. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
I love the whole
Uh,
shot and everything. And the hack just like the kanji in the back just ties it all together.
mm-hmm. Well
Yeah.
knolled too. Got to
Well
give people
known.
props for their knolling skills, getting all
Yeah.
those angles right. So thank you, Barath. We'll move on to the last one for today. This is from Dai Takagi, and they are a dog mom / retired academic, picky about so many things, especially pens, paper, bags, and knives. It just never ends. Uh, and
No, it does not.
they said not for a submission, just wanted to affirm Japanese analog like Hobonichi calendars and fountain pens are compatible with digital life. Is that a direct shot at me? It
I
might
think
be.
no. I don't think that's a direct. I think that's a shout out, if anything, because
Oh,
you're
okay.
also the appreciator of nice Japanese stationery. I picked this out specifically because I feel like you'd have a good reaction to the fountain pens as well.
Yeah, but it reminds me of when I switched to full on e-ink. Remember?
Right,
And
right.
I coming from a Japanese stationery background to
Yeah,
manage my digital workflows. Then I was
yeah,
like, oh, I'll just go full e-ink and like sync to the clouds or whatever. That
yeah,
didn't work. I'm back to Japanese stationery, fountain pen, and paper.
yeah.
So, but good taste here. Yes. Japanese fountain pens too, and they're good. Pilot and Platinum, those are like top tier Japanese
They
fountain pen
look
brands.
nice. They look really
Yeah,
nice too, even without showing the nib or anything. That looks really, really sick.
right. So I mean, even on Amazon, it's like $210. I
What?
will update.
I
Yeah,
didn't even see the price.
dude. Okay, so like it gets even more expensive than that, but again, it's like Japanese craftsmanship and design,
Of
right? There's
course,
like
yeah, yeah.
heritage, there's the craftsmanship, the
The
artistry of it.
lacquering.
Yeah, so you pay for that. I don't think that this one might have that, but I'm sure like the nib is made of gold, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Very precise instruments. But then you have the Hobonichi Techo planner. So this is like a very popular Japanese planner that's pocket sized. Um,
Yeah.
you can see it next to a mini bug out, right? So it's not that big. The mini bug out is just small. So we have the mini bug out and then the Bellroy Apex Note sleeve. So this is also kind of like, what's it called? The Pioneer Carry, where the Apex version of Bellroy products is kind of like their more futuristic, advanced materials and manufacturing method versions
Mhm.
of their existing silhouettes, like the note sleeve.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the Jetstream 3-color Uniball. I think I have that. but in a different
I
color.
just want to call out that the pop of orange and the yellow goes really well with the blue, which goes of the wallet, which goes with the pen, and it just all of these color pop outs.
Just
You'd think they
pleasing.
would be, yeah. It's very nice to look at. It's very complimentary. Color theory, YouTuber stuff, but
Who knows if that's real? Color
yeah,
theory? I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
black complements black, and maybe titanium complements titanium, and we'll leave it at that in the EDC
yeah.
world. That's the EDCer's color theory, I think. So
But very very nice picks, very discerning. We can tell
super discerning.
you're a person who appreciates good quality stuff. So, and very selective about their choices of gear. I think that comes through in this. I think also. Yeah.
I do appreciate this last comment here. It just never ends.
That's what we'll call this episode.
Yeah, it never
It just
ends. What
never
a
ends.
testament to the living, breathing journey of EDC and how it just always changes, right? So I think that's as good a time as ever. So thank you, D Takagi, for sharing your beautiful EDC with us. If you guys want your EDCs featured on the show and on the website, you can do that here at the Submit Your EDC link on everydaycarry.com, and we'll also have that linked in the description. So I think that just about wraps it up for today's episode. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Hit the subscribe, share with a friend, and follow us on our socials. If you want to be part of our EDC community, feel free to hop into our Facebook group or Discord server for more real-time discussion with other EDCers. And lastly, if you have any feedback for us or questions you want answered on the show, you can shoot us an email at podcast@everydaycarry.com. So thank you so much for listening to Carried Away. I'm Bernard.
And I'm Mikey, and tell us what is your all-time favorite EDC tool.
And until the next one, it never ends.
Never ends.